last. In politics, well, you should actually be interested. This is the week we've all been waiting for. It is party primaries time. That's my cue to welcome you to another bumper edition of The Newsroom, brought to you by the Newsroom of Nigeria Info. Well, on the Newsroom, we'll try to take a critical analysis and look at some of the big stories that have happened in the course of the previous week. My name is Ufuoma Egbamuno, and of course, I will not do the show all alone. At 19 past the hour of 6 o'clock, I've got my partner in crime today, Oboh. Aghogho, a very good evening to you. How are you doing?
I'm brilliant, Ufuoma. Hope you're great too.
Well, I would say I am, even though, it just wasn't another great week again, Saturday night, with another sad story of a building collapsing, and as we speak right now, 4 persons died. Well, a 3-story building collapsed at Freeman Street in Lagos Island. We can tell you that rescue operations have now been concluded at the site, and of course, sadly, 4 people lost their lives. Some others got injured. Our correspondent Emmanuel Onwuka has been covering the story, and Emmanuel is right here in the studio. Sadly, almost every time we bring Emmanuel to the newsroom, it feels like he's coming to report some not so pleasant story. Emmanuel, there's a latest report from the state government. What exactly is the state government saying about this?
The state government is saying that they're going to prosecute the developer who has been identified as Fumble.
Fumble is his name.
Fumble, yes. That's the only name that they know him by. Fumble.
Okay.
So they said he went into hiding, after the building collapsed on Saturday, and since then they will not be able to lay their hands on him, and they're going for him. They're going to persecute him to ensure that it serves as a warning to other developers across the state, because according to them, it's one too many. It's becoming too frequent. The building collapse is becoming too frequent in Lagos State, and it's a big and huge concern to everybody, because this one I recently covered now, a lot of people have just moved on. I went to the area today to reach out to the people to see how the mood was like in the area, and I saw that everybody has moved on. So it's becoming a norm, sort of, in Lagos State. People don't even throw so much emphasis on it anymore. So it's not
even with the fact that 4 people in that neighborhood lost their lives, people are injured, possibly still in hospital as we speak.
I had people standing by the site of the collapse, discussing, talking normal things, arguing over, there's a gutter, you should not dig the gutter across my house. That was the conversation today, and I was so shocked. I missed my way twice. Why? Because I passed that place and I was like, is this where the building collapsed? They said no, it's in front. So I went forward. I came back to that point again. They redirected me back to that point again. And I went there and I asked the people, and somebody finally said, yes, you can see this place. This is where the excavator part. I was like, shocked. Are you serious? This is where the building collapsed and you people are just like normal? So it's becoming a norm among members of the society, and it's really alarming, especially to us who keep reporting this issue over and over again.
And so, Emmanuel, from what we hear now, we understand that the building had no approval. I see that you've done a report around that saying that the building had no, which is the major reason why you have the developer even on the run.
Yes, so it takes a long while, from what people tell me. It takes a long while to get an approval. So some persons make the application and then they return back and start building the house.
Even without waiting to get that approval.
Waiting to get the approval. They just make the application for the approval and then they go ahead with it, hoping that at the end of the day, they're going to get that approval. And that was what the chat I had with the chairman of the Community Development Association, and he said that they were going to monitor things themselves. So they're not going to wait for the government patrol team to come up to the area to inspect the buildings themselves. They are going to draw their attention when they find out that a construction is ongoing anywhere in the community.
Okay, we'll have to leave it at that. Hopefully, we'll talk more on we'll talk less, I should say, on building collapses. Hopefully, I don't come to the newsroom next week to talk about another one. Quickly, let's move on because we do not have so much time on the show today. Last week, we did see, of course, Aghogho, another Okada ban, so to speak, and of course 6 local government areas in Lagos: Ikeja, Surulere, Tiosa, Lagos Mainland, Apapa, and of course the ban is supposed to take effect from the 1st of June. But then the government actually said something about, hey, there's already a standing rule that motorcyclists, or Okada as we call them, should not be on highways. So some of these riders who have taken advantage of, the ban is supposed to be for the 1st of June, there's already a rule that says don't do it. And now there's also the twist. If you as an individual bought on these bikes, you also are culpable, you are also liable to get prosecuted. But of course, this is our cue to welcome our guest on the show today. He is the Executive Secretary of Human and Environmental Development Agenda Header. His name is Babu Sulaiman, and he's joining us on the show right now. A very good evening to you, sir.
Hello, good evening, Ufuoma.
Okay.
Good evening to you, Aghogho.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
I am fine. As fine as you can be in Lagos.
Okay. I'll start the first question before I'll asks you his own. It's the second time in 2 years that we're hearing a ban placed on Okada people right here in Lagos. Do you honestly think that the government can enforce the ban?
Of course, the government cannot enforce the ban. Government do not have the manpower to enforce the ban. And it's an embarrassing, it's very reactionary. And the fear when government gets reactionary is that if you follow through, you are damned. If you don't follow through, you are damned. Now, what do I mean by that? If you follow through, it's a very harsh decision. It's reactionary. It's because of the incident that happened. And a number of incidents that have happened have shown the recklessness of Okada drivers, especially the influx of non-Nigerians into this part of the world, of the country. So government is reacting. So if government follows through, you are going to deprive many people of their source of livelihood. You are going to deprive many people of their means of getting to their source of livelihood through Okada and all the rest. And you are going to be doing it in a very harsh and abrupt manner that will make you look mean and uncaring about the plight of your people. Now, if you don't go through with it, as we have seen severally, and as this is bound to join the number, it makes government look weak, unserious, unreliable, and something that can be taken for granted. So I think that the decision by Mr. Governor Sanwo-Olu was kind of reactionary and was not properly well thought through. Because if it is, and the last time he did this 2 years ago, some of us raised our voices and said, look, we desire to see a day when we will no longer have Okada, Marwa, and Danfo in Lagos, because we live in a Lagos that didn't have that. I'm going to be 50 years tomorrow. I've lived in a Lagos that didn't have all of this, and I desire to have a return to such normalcy, where we can have proper mass transit system, the light rail that's been going on since forever, where we can have tram in the city of Lagos, possibly. However, when you are going to make such a major shift that is going to affect people's livelihood and lives, you have to be systematic about it. You have to give it a human face, and you have to be pragmatic and firm. None of that can you find in this decision by Mr. Governor Sanwo-Olu.
Talking about being practical here, so you've identified two issues here. One, with the livelihood of the people who are Okada riders who who will be thrown out of business, and then for the people who cannot get to their offices because of the Okadas and the rickshaws have been taken off their routes. What would you say in terms of for the people, beginning with the people who are Okada riders, how this will come as a shock to them, and what can the state do to ameliorate this problem upon them?
The state is not planning any amelioration because we have these people in their thousands, and of course they are a big security risk. They are a big security risk, and we've been seeing, and they have shown that they are. So it's not like one is over pampering. It's still, these are human beings. Many of them are climate refugees. They are coming down here because of problems of climate change. Many of them are coming down here because of the insecurity in their parts of the world. However, what government ought to have done is that when you want to make such a seismic change in society, do a moratorium. Call these people, call their representatives. Look, we as a city, the city of the state of Lagos, by today is the 23rd of May 2002. Say by the 24th of May 2003, there will be no more Okada in Lagos. So, and everybody will understand their responsibility. Government's responsibility is to make sure that those places that rely only on Okada have alternatives within that 1 year. The responsibility, and first, when you do that, there will be no new investment in the Okada sector. There will be no new investment. 70% of people currently doing Okada will start to round up. By the time you approach 8 months, 9 months, you will see them either leaving for something else or for somewhere else. Now, government will be seen to have done something that is pragmatic. Even some of the Okadas, you can buy off them because you have technical institutions where you can convert some of these things to, and you buy it very cheap anyway, to farm implements and what have you. So that's one thing government fails to do. And it's not only Okada that they should do that for. They should also give perhaps a longer moratorium, to Danfo. But when you are in a city, a state, a country where government, for instance, says we don't want Danfo anymore, but the same government is buying the one they call Korope. And those people behave just exactly like the Danfo people because they don't obey traffic lights, they don't obey any traffic rules. So the same government that doesn't want Okada, you will see next tomorrow, when their election comes, they are going to be giving this as empowerment to the youth. So there is a lot of contradiction in the system. So what government should do is to be pragmatic about it. Give it a moratorium. They are human beings. And this does not stop government from enforcing the law on those who decide, because even if they are not driving Okada, the people who killed Ebola in Sokoto were not driving Okada. They are supposed to be in a college of education. So it means that people can be lawless and reckless if they know that they will get away with it. So the point government needed to make is that in this state of Lagos, if you violate the law, we will come after you, and we will come after you heavily. But when you have a system where we once had the like of Gokada, it was this same government that sabotaged them. Government sabotaged them. Because if you had such a structured business operation, it would have been easy to track any
defaulter
rider that defaults in anything. So we need to bring in but then the issue of Lagos is not even beyond that. Beyond the delivery service, let's leave Okada as a means of transportation. It's not good, it's killing, it's dangerous, it's reckless, and it's bringing insecurity. Okay. If you have 1,000 riders with cutlass run into the likes of Surulere or Lagos Island, hell will break loose.
True that.
People with guns.
True that, Mr. Sulaiman. I would need you to just stay on the line. Our Nigeria Info reporter Ikechukwu Yemike did speak with the Marafa of the Arewa community right here in Lagos. His name is Audu Umaru. He spoke on a number of issues concerning this Okada ban. Take a listen.
Banding of this Okada in 6 local government, they don't mention before, which we know there are some certain places that Okada must not go because of the way that place is. But in every country, because I don't say that they don't know what they are doing, whenever you want to put down any law, you must to prepare for it. Now, like Aja, they are talking about, the transport is not enough for people. There is a certain time where Fashola bring only bike, we feel run, with be saying a giant bike, we be say if you run express, no matter how you run, even though trailer pass, it no go for. Give them all these elements, and everybody will get this thing before you even enter the Okada. Small time we don't see them again. And this Okada of this thing we are talking about, people, it has made people of Lagos to lazy now. Anywhere where everybody they go now, no matter what thing they happen for Okada, now Okada. And which is helping again the business of Lagos, which me and you and everybody know. But the commitment in that this thing is, I think, they have where they are paying ticket, then get where then they register them. If they ask me in my own advice, there are many countries that they put tag in their Okadas people's neck, and they will write even this thing in their back. Your name will be written there, and person will easily see your name, see your picture, see your address where you come from. And as far as you are paying ticket, that person you are paying ticket to supposed to register you and know where you come from. You don't just bounce into business that you just give me what I want, just go and do what you like. No. Sometimes let them have small workshop, let them put them together. Because in this aspect, wetin dey cause problem be say, you no hear my language. Just because of this illiteracy and misunderstanding of language, bring big problems sometimes. Illiteracy of that people sometimes, when something happen, just simple explanation will bring big problem because they could not understand themselves. You do business from nowhere, we don't know where you come from, we don't know who you are, you just carry it. It's even risky.
That was Audu Umaru, the Marafa of the Arewa community, speaking to our correspondent Ikechukwu Oyemike. We've still got Mr. Sulaiman, who's the executive secretary of HEDA, right here in the studio. Quickly, before we move on to our final topic, what do you make of course, the Lagos State Police Command's plan to keep detaining and punishing motorcyclists and passengers who disobey the state's law?
Truly, I challenge the command that they cannot achieve it. They will cause only a few. Look, and this is what always happens. Government only open shops for police when they come up with this not well thought.
How do you mean open shop?
They open shop for police because now you see, and my own biggest fear is even for people who ride, because once police start to chase Okada, in order to avoid police, they don't care what happens to even the rider, the passenger they are carrying. You know, so police will just be arresting them. Take away the bikes that they can, because many of the I have seen several times that police will arrest bike. They'll just take it off the road. There is no record of them taking that bike. Not only that, some of them will pay money to get their bikes back if they know the police station from where those operating have come. So government is just opening shop for police. That one is but Mr. Audu have said, you know, I mean that's the truth what he has said. But look, beyond that, we hope to see a Lagos that will no longer require Okada. People can ride bike now. People can ride their Okada for their family. And this is another conflict point that we potentially will see. There are people who have Okada that they are using personally. Motorbike.
But then again, the Lagos State Police Command has actually, exempted such persons, and even for security operatives, the thing is you have to wear uniforms.
Ufuoma, how many times have you been told that you don't have to have license for, permit for tinted glass? And is it not still a problem on the road?
Well, I agree with you. Unfortunately, we would have to leave that because we've got another big issue to talk about. Stay on the line because you would also be a part of this conversation. And Aghogho, we're going to be is a decisive week for us in the 2023 general elections. Aghogho.
Right, it is going to be one of great interest. The People's Democratic Party has already begun its primaries. All Progressives Congress has set its screening for this tomorrow, next tomorrow for the presidential screening, and we know that they'd have on the 29th and 30th the special convention, as well as presidential primaries announced by the National Publicity Secretary Felix Morka. So they have the House of Reps and governorship to hold on the 26th of May, 27th of May special appeal. On the other hand, the PDP began its process yesterday. They've gone ahead to nominate candidates for the House of Reps as well as for the State Assembly. Today it is for the Senate. And INEC is still insisting that it's not going to shift the deadline. I did hear someone talk to me from Jos today saying that INEC don't even add 1 hour to the deadline. Stick to the game. And it's interesting, Ufuoma.
Yeah, very. Joining us right now is a regular on this show. He is Executive Director of Electoral College Nigeria, Mr. Kunle Lawal. He ran away from Lagos. That's why he's joining us on the phone. Kunle, very good afternoon to you. Is it good evening now?
Of course, we are in the same country and still within the same timeline. So, of course, good evening, Lagos. It's great to be in Abuja and be speaking from here.
Okay, please bring that little bit of money that you went to Abuja to collect too. But Kunle, quickly, let me start with you. Please try and explain to us in a short time as possible, what is this whole confusion about statutory delegates and how is it going to affect, or is it already affecting, the party primaries for this week?
So, statutory delegates, for the basis of viewers, let me explain the way it is. So, in an indirect primaries, which is what is being used when you have delegates, not all members participating in picking a party candidate as regards an election. Now, that's for the primaries. You have statutory delegates, and these are people who are serving in position, have held former positions, commissioners, former SAs, ministers, senators, serving senators. So the new electoral law does not allow statutory delegates to participate. So in a situation where maybe you had the APC declared about 7,760 something delegates, without the new effect in the electoral law, you're having about 2,000 delegates. So I think delegates are like having a 30-liter keg of fuel in fuel scarcity. So it's actually altering the way the game is. The prices have gone up. I'm not saying anybody gives money, but the prices of getting the delegates have gone
You don't
up.
have to say it.
Right now, I think I would equate a delegate to actually going trying to catch a shark with a canoe. So it's a whole new ball game. Tougher thing for aspirants. A lot of aspirants have had issues with this setup. The thing about statutory delegates is that they usually wield power. So the ad hoc delegates, who are those who are selected from the local government, chairman of local government, secretary of chairman and secretary of ward, and then maybe youth leader or man leader, who are ad hoc delegates. The statutory delegates are people that when they vote in a particular way, other people follow. So right now, what you have is like you in a primaries that you have hungry Oliver Twist asking for more, because you don't have the big boys participating again who can't really be bought with money. And those ones can sway votes because they kind of, when everybody sees they are moving one way, they are grassroots, they will follow the other way because they need to go back to ask those ones for money.
Right.
Now they are not there again, which means the entire basis of any party's primaries now is in the hands of people that cannot even use Instagram. Sorry, I didn't mean use Instagram. Cannot read or do not even understand clear institutionality of the offices that they are picking these candidates for. So we're in a serious quagmire. I cannot even begin to phantom the amount of dollars that are going to move in Abuja during presidential primaries of PDP and APC.
Okay, quickly, Kunle. The primaries have already started from yesterday and all of that. From what you've seen so far, can you consider them as free, fair, and credible? Why are you laughing now?
My tongue kind of tried to roll trying to answer that. So from what we've seen, it is evident they have no understanding of what's going on. I have flash shots of candidates you could consider credible who should have won primaries but were kicked out. And it's so bad that they voted in a way whoever gave them. I know people that gave as much as to, let's say, 200 delegates, gives as much as 36 million in total to delegates, and they didn't even get one vote, nil.
Wow.
Situations we've seen, 68-0. It's crazy. I'm sure Banky W has a very good story to tell on primaries right now.
All right, Sulaiman, I did hear you laugh. You're going to be marking your birthday anniversary tomorrow. I guess you have the more experience. This is your bread and butter when it comes to this sort of processes that have happened. So, if you do your own four-way test, whether it's been free, fair, and credible, what would you say your assessment is in the interim?
Also, in the interim, if I was to give a score point of 100, I'd probably say we're witnessing 23% 23% rating of
Okay.
the entire primaries.
All right, Kunle, hold on a second. Sulaiman, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
the question now is for you. Do you think this is free, fair, and credible?
Well, it depends on what we mean by free. So the delegates, yes, this is credible. This is free. This is good. More of that. Then obviously, we've been hearing about crisis in a number of states, and the post-election litigations that we are going to have is going to be massive. And this is a mistake we made during when the National Assembly was reviewing the Electoral Act. We should have been listening a little bit more, because the controversy around delegates, and also about when people should resign and all of that, and how that affects the constitutional provision, and all of those things are going to play out. But right now, it is good for the matter of fact, I'm reviewing my phone now to see which of my friends are delegates, because this is the festival for them. So we are going to see a lot of that, and we are going to see a lot of crisis afterwards. In fact, some leading to violence. So already some states have recorded incidents of violence.
Yep. Bayelsa.
A situation where people got zero, and somebody has spent 36 million. A lot of people have explanations to do. So it's not good for
I'd like to add this to the conversation. First, Ufuoma, when you asked the question, you said, are they free? They are definitely not free. Delegates come at a very high price. But I don't think, as regards the other speakers' mention of litigation, no party will have time for litigation.
True that.
June 3rd is too short, and they have just a small window. Courts are going to have to open and close litigation before June 2nd. I think it will cost the entire party a candidate, and if any primary is nullified, it means a particular party might not produce a candidate for that. So I think every party will be avoiding litigations, and will have to settle in house.
The heavens will not fall. It happened to ABC in Rivers. It happened to Zamfara. I tell you for free,
Okay, quickly.
Like that.
Okay, Sulaiman, quickly. We do not have so much time. Kunle, I have one more question for you. How on earth, please, you can do this in less than 1 minute. How on earth did the National Assembly forget to add themselves as statutory delegates? I can't help but laugh at this question.
It has always been said that the National Assembly just goes A and nay, and that's the rubber stamp about them. 70% of them have never opened the Nigerian Constitution. And when everybody says this is going to pass, it just passes. So I don't know how you passed a legislature that you didn't read, and now you are scampering for an amendment from the president. You passed it. How did that happen? So it's clear, obviously, they do not read these laws, and it's clear, obviously, they do not also understand the laws in which they pass. So one intelligent guy writes something, and everybody just says yes because somebody has probably paid for it.
Okay.
Asking them to put those things, they didn't eat that time. It's an own goal, and it's good for the politics.
Okay, we're not going to get into the conversation of who that favors and who he doesn't favor allegedly, or why maybe the president has not signed the amended copy. But quickly, Kunle, just before we wrap up, in 30 seconds, we've asked young candidates to forget reality TV and get in the business of governance and politics. Some have contested, quite a lot of them did not get through, but we've seen people mocking them on social media. First things first, why did they fail?
First is that most of them just joined parties and haven't stayed there too long. That's the first one. The second, which is the critical factor, is they went into parties and were enjoying post-primary support and doing post-primary campaigns, not internal parties. So if you're going to run for office, what is key most to you is getting in people into the party you want to run 3 or 4 years before, that perform and get ward positions, who will now be delegates in your election. Now that's the party the young people have missed. I also say something that this statutory issue with delegates is going to blast out a king of the West. I won't mention his name. But
are you already insinuating? Is these insinuations, or this is your personal? I said I wasn't going to go there, but you are going there already. So let's talk about it.
No, I'm not going to talk about it.
Apparently, we still have like 3 more minutes. Let's talk about it, Sulaiman. Kunle has sort of suggested or insinuated that this statutory delegates that is not going to come into play again is most likely going to take out someone. He says King of the West.
So, I would say some people, really. And yes, perhaps to that person that is referring, this is very likely because that person is banking on a lot of traditional statutory delegates, especially from up north. And I think that might not come to bear.
I think the King of the West has not paid attention to what's going on in Kano.
Yes.
I just added it to the conversation. Full stop.
And quickly to button on the young people thing. Look, eventually, what needs to happen in this country, if we are going to avoid, we do not want any bloody revolution. We want a change of system that will happen peacefully. So young people need to get involved in the electoral process. But they are not going to hijack APC PDP. Forget about it. Let young people go to a party that welcomes them and find a rally around people. Look, forget about the presidency for now. Get into the parliament. Make the changes that would then erode those who can come and make attempts at the presidency and get it, at the governorship and get it. Young people need to seriously get into the parliament and effect those changes that we desperately need in this country.
Okay, quickly, let's see if we can take a few thoughts and comments. I'll go maybe 1 or 2 calls. Let's hear from the persons who've been listening to the show. 0700 993 993 993 0700 993 993 993. It's really been a very interesting conversation. Shots being fired. If you actually read meanings into what Kunle and Sulaiman were actually saying right there. But hey, it's that week. In fact, in the newsroom, myself and my editors, we've been it's been a lot of back and forth, between who's going to end. In fact, I took a bet with one of my colleagues just last week about who's going to end up being the APC presidential ticket. Now 6 or 7 days now remain. We go John Google Macho. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to the newsroom.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Robert.
Welcome, Robert.
Yeah, I want to contribute about our politicians.
Quickly, you've got 30 seconds.
If we youth want to involve in politics now, these people have a lot of money, and we have no money around us. Before you know, they will start buying votes house by house. So how are we going to meet up? If you can look at what is happening in our politics, in the place where they used to keep our electoral distance, is that place the man is contesting for?
Well, he is actually not contesting anymore.
You would have known that we are not safe in this country, but they and their children, they are safe. No matter what you do, they will still announce the person they want. Look at what the PDP National Party chairman talked. He said that.
Oh dear, apologies for that one. It does look like we might not be able to take another call. I'll go quickly as we wrap up the show. Genge, is this week? Well,
I keep my fingers crossed. You know how they say it's excellent viewing for the neutral. So we'll watch and see how it plays out. But I'm sure that by the time it's done, I hope we've learned a couple of lessons about, especially around the Okada and the other issues. Because at the end of the day, that's what is of real importance to the people.
To the average man on the streets.
Politicians and the shenanigans
can go ahead.
Can go ahead with that. But transportation and the cost of living is basically what is at the back of everybody's mind in this country,
All right, that's our cue to say thank you very much to the Executive Director of the Electoral College Nigeria, Kunle Lawal, and also the Executive Secretary of the Human and Environmental Development Agenda, Babu Sulaiman. Thank you guys for joining us on the newsroom this evening.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to the Game of Thrones.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for next week's the newsroom. Anyway, guys, that's the show we have for you. We'll be back again next week, Monday, from 15 minutes past the 6 o'clock hour. Until then, have yourselves a wonderful evening. The news at 7 is up next, but of course, it's not going to be a regular news. We've got a very wonderful special report for you at 7 p.m. And after that, Femi and the gang will be in the building for Game On. My name is Ufuoma Egbamuno. I've done this with Aghogho Oboh, and we also had Emmanuel Onwoka joining us. Stay safe, people.
.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.